Washington, D.C., July 2026. The nation's capital was buzzing with anticipation. The Mubadala DC Open was about to begin, and the tennis world had descended upon the city. But all eyes were on one woman, Did Eala. She had just arrived from Manila. She had just completed a whirlwind homecoming, a presidential citation at Malacanang Palace, a sold-out fan meet at Glorieta Activity Center, and emotional farewells with a nation that had embraced her as its own. She had just climbed to world number 28, the highest ranking ever achieved by a Filipina. She had just become the first Filipino to reach the fourth round of a Grand Slam. And now, she was about to face the press. The questions came fast. How did it feel to beat Iga Swiatek? What was it like to walk on a center court? What are your expectations for the U.S. Open? Eala answered with characteristic grace. She spoke about the importance of taking things match by match, round by round. She talked about her upcoming schedule. She thanked her family, her coaches, and her country. But then came the question that would leave tennis fans speechless. A reporter asked about the Dream Team reunion with Venus Williams. Eala's face lit up. Her eyes sparkled, and she said something that no one expected. Never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that I'd have the privilege of competing alongside you on court, Venus Williams. Immensely grateful to learn from you. The room fell silent, because this wasn't just a tennis player talking about a partner. This was a young woman who had grown up idolizing the greatest players in history, now competing alongside them. This was a girl from Quezon City who had dreamed of Wimbledon, now sharing a court with a legend. And then she said something else, something that revealed the depth of her gratitude and the strength of her character. Venus has such a special work ethic and such a special mindset, and for who she is so down-to-earth. So I just took that week to absorb everything I could absorb and learn from her. The tennis world was speechless, not just because of the respect she showed, but because of the humility she displayed. A world number 28, a Grand Slam quarterfinalist, a global phenomenon, still learning, still absorbing, still growing. And then she made a promise that would define her career. I promised to continue to represent the Philippines in the best way that I possibly can. The room erupted, and the tennis world was left stunned. Welcome to RallyVerse. The press conference had been routine. A few questions about her Wimbledon run, a few about her ranking, a few about her upcoming schedule. Did Eala, as always, had been gracious, composed, and professional. But then came the question that would change everything. A reporter asked about her partnership with Venus Williams at the Mubadala DC Open. The tournament had announced the reunion days earlier, calling it the Dream Team. Eala and Williams had previously teamed up at the Bad Homburg Open, where they advanced to the quarterfinals. It was a partnership that had already shown promise. Never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that I'd have the privilege of competing alongside you on court, Venus Williams. Immensely grateful to learn from you, Eala said. The room fell silent. These weren't just words of a tennis player acknowledging a partner. They were words of a young woman who had grown up idolizing the greatest players in history. They were words of a girl from Quezon City who had dreamed of Wimbledon and was now competing alongside a legend. But Eala didn't stop there. Venus has such a special work ethic and such a special mindset. And for who she is so down-to-earth. So I just took that week to absorb everything I could absorb and learn from her. The humility was staggering. A world no. 28, a Grand Slam quarterfinalist, a global phenomenon, still learning, still absorbing, still growing. And then she revealed something even more profound. I believe in myself a lot, and that's a core value. It's one of the foundations of my mentality and how I approach my competitions. The tennis world was stunned, not just by her words, but by the depth of her character. She was not just a champion. She was a student of the game. She was a leader. Eala's words about Venus Williams came at a pivotal moment in her career. She was preparing for the North American hardcourt swing. The Mubadala DC Open was her first stop, and the reunion with Williams was the headline act. The tournament had announced the partnership on July 17, 2026, calling it the Dream Team. Dream Team. Venus Williams, Did Eala are locked in for doubles in D.C. The Mubadala DC Open posted on social media. It was a partnership that had already made history. Eala and Williams had teamed up for the first time at the Bad Homburg Open in Germany, where they reached the quarterfinals before bowing out to Olivia Nichols and Teresa Mihalikova, 6-3, 6-2. But the chemistry was undeniable. It was an incredible experience for me, Eala said of playing alongside Williams. Venus has such a special work ethic and such a special mindset. And for who she is so down-to-earth. So I just took that week to absorb everything I could absorb and learn from her. Williams, 46, had returned the compliment, describing Eala as the best partner. The two had bonded over their shared love for the game and their determination to compete at the highest level. The Mubadala DC Open doubles draw would feature 18 Grand Slam doubles and mixed doubles champions across both the ADP and WTA tours. But the Dream Team was the headline act. Fans were already lining up for tickets. For Eala, the partnership was about more than just winning matches. It was about learning from one of the greatest players in history. I took that week to absorb everything I could absorb and learn from her, she said. Eala's words revealed something deeper than just respect for Williams. They revealed the core of her character. I think confidence is very important. Whether you're in the spotlight or not, it's important, she said in a press conference earlier in the week. I believe in myself a lot, and that's a core value. It's one of the foundations of my mentality and how I approach my competitions. But confidence wasn't the only thing that defined her. It was humility. It was gratitude. It was the understanding that success is not just about winning, but about learning from those who came before. Having good people around you and people you trust with your best interests at heart is incredibly important, Eala said. They're the ones that you trust to tell you both good and bad things. It's the best for you. If I need to improve on something, I've heard it from them, or I notice it myself. The humility was staggering. A world number 28, a Grand Slam quarterfinalist, a global phenomenon, still learning, still absorbing, still growing. But Eala's humility was also rooted in her Laban spirit, the Filipino fighting spirit that had carried her through the toughest moments of her career. I've been a competitor my whole life, and I'm so passionate about tennis. I've worked so hard for everything that I have, so never say die. This was the same spirit that had carried her through her historic Wimbledon run. The same spirit that had allowed her to save 2 set points against IGA Swiatek on center court. The same spirit that had made her the first Filipino to reach the 4th round of a Grand Slam. But Eala's most powerful words were not about herself. They were about her country. I promise to continue to represent the Philippines in the best way that I possibly can, she said at Malacanang Palace. The words echoed through the tennis world. A young woman who had conquered Wimbledon, who had beaten Grand Slam champions, who had climbed to world number 28, was using her platform to inspire a nation. I'm so grateful that I am able to share my triumphs, most especially my recent run at Wimbledon with the country, she said. As we say, this is all our victory. I cannot begin to describe how overjoyed I am to see how my progress has been received by the Filipino people. The words resonated with millions, because Eala wasn't just representing herself. She was representing every Filipino who had ever dreamed of achieving something big. It warms my heart because it comes from a profound and shared love for our nation. With that being said, I take great pride in being a Filipino, and I carry the flag with me wherever I go. The promise was not just a statement. It was a declaration of intent. It was a reminder that success is not just about individual achievement, but about collective pride. And then came the words that would leave the tennis world speechless. I'm a firm believer that where you come from is a big part of who you are. So like you said, Mr. President, I do my best to represent the country on and off the court because I'm really proud, and it comes from a genuine place of love. The press conference in Washington was more than just a pre-tournament event. It was a statement, a declaration, a reminder that Alex Eala was no longer just a tennis player from the Philippines. She was a symbol. She was a leader. She was a movement. Andy Roddick had captured it perfectly. Eala Mania is fun. Imagine, wherever you live, whatever the biggest venue is closest to you, imagine having watch parties for a 4th-round match at Wimbledon and having no room. I am here for Eala Mania. It's great for tennis. But Roddick's words went deeper. I don't want to hear any of that be like, I don't care, stop talking. No. This is a movement. She is single-handedly creating a movement of a sect of tennis fandom that largely didn't exist a couple of years ago. Thank you. Eala's words at the press conference were a reflection of that movement. She had spoken with humility. She had spoken with gratitude. She had spoken with pride. She had reminded the world that champions are not just defined by their victories, but by the people they inspire along the way. I'm excited for so many things, she said. This is only the start. In the near future, the U.S. Open is coming up. So after this week, I'm going to get ready and prepare for that. From the cracked courts of Quezon City to world number 28. From being a 13-year-old girl alone in Spain to a national hero celebrated by presidents and adored by millions. From being told she couldn't do it to standing on the brink of Grand Slam glory. Alex Eala's journey has defied every expectation. And now, with the US Open awaiting, she is ready to write the next chapter. Laban lang. Always. And remember, on RallyVerse, we bring you the stories that define the sport, the drama, the words, the moments that change everything. Stay tuned for more.